Today, my group and I, the Legendary Jays, are going to be talking about how the lack of government or its presence affects society. Is a form of government needed in society? The Republic is an elected dictatorship based on the information given in the book, but society is the aggregate of people living together in a more or less ordered community. And that doesn't mean it depends on government, but when a government does exist, people become dependent on it, so things like this happen. The government is made to root out the strong genes from the weak ones, kind of like Hitler did with his whole make the country pure propaganda, and keep the poor as the poor and the rich as the rich. That stops them from moving forward and moving into somewhere that they can thrive and make a better life for themselves. In the book Legend by Mary Lou, the government is called the Republic, and they elect someone called the Elector Primo to make a lot of decisions.
What is the Republic government and how does it affect society?
In my opinion, the Republic government is a very unfair government that follows things like differences between people, instead of looking as everyone as one. This affects the society because the government judges and gives things to people off of how much money they have or how wealthy they are. For example, if there is someone who has less money or is less fortunate, then the government will not send them to school or educate them. If there is someone who is very wealthy and has a lot of money, even if they're not as smart as the less fortunate one, they will be educated and sent to school. This very much affects the society and how the society works because of how strange the Republic government is.
I agree with B. I personally think that the Republic government is a totalitarian government. It is not very fair. It affects society by trials and thinking that some people have better genes and favoring them, and shun and working the others to death. That sounds like concentration camps to me and Hitler wanting a better race, like Andre said in the intro.
The Republic government is a strange system of government. It strongly affects society because of its discrimination among the lower classes, because they get treated differently because of the government. Also, the Republic's conflict against the colonies changes the lives of everyone, including the colonies, making it harder for them to reunite, affecting the government, which affects the people.
Like Sophie said, the Republic government, from what I can tell, is a sort of odd, limited monarchy, like how they elect the Elector Primo, but he has a sort of total power, but he still has to be chosen by the people. Like how Mahika said, it is sort of totalitarian, but it can be a monarchy in the way that the elector is praised as a man above men who comes from the heavens.
How does the Republic government compare to our government now?
The Republic government is a lot stricter, looking less at the person and more at their wealth and rank in society, where our government looks more at their talent and abilities for education of the person. They are similar because they have to elect an elected primo that makes a lot of their decisions.
The Republic is not like our government because in our government we don't try to root out good genes from the bad ones by separating the rich from the poor. But in some ways it is the same because there are people who are impoverished and also there are some people that are doing better.
I think that our current government has power spread out and contained by checks and balances, and it is unlike the Republic because the Republic's power is almost entirely held by the elector. We have a democracy, but that is a dictatorship. It is very different since it's not treating everyone equally. However, parts of the government are same. There's a leader, there's a Congress, and there's a military.
Like Mahika said, the Republic government is more ruthless and more like a dictatorship, and the United States is more like a democracy.
If the government were to fail, how would the society change?
I think government affects society because society is built on government. It is needed for civilization, and the principles of the government can become the principles of that society. People get used to the principles of the government and then won't be able to live without those principles. For example, in the book, the Republic segregates the poor and the rich and treats the best better. Then that's all the people can remember. The trial seems to be a normal part of the world even though it shouldn't exist because that is not fair.
I think the people of the Republic would have no one to order them, which would result in chaos. Also, they would likely start a new form of government, which would change their ways. They might go for a different form of government that would change the way they run things. They could also get help from the colonies and reunite. Many things would happen if the government were to fail. It is whatever that path the people take.
Agreeing with Sophie, the people of the Republic would probably plunge into complete chaos. They wouldn't know what to do, how to do it, why they should, and honestly, I think it would be like post-World War I Germany because they would have lost their way of life and then someone, a Hitler sort of person, would rise up, take over, and then I think that the colonies would win.
I think that the republic affects society in a bad way because the republic is a closed, corrupt government which rules with an iron fist and people don't have a say in anything.
Would a lack of government be better than the republics?
I think that the lack of government would be worse at first because the people do not have a government to instruct them, which would end up in chaos. After a while, though, the people might sort out a new government that is better than the republic government, which is what a reason in why it could result in being better.
A lack of government being better than the republic is a question that depends on if the republic exists in this hypothetical situation. Because if it does or doesn't, then that affects the answer. And when I say exist, I mean that it being there because the U.S. went into a second civil war. Now, let's say the republic didn't exist, then no, it wouldn't be better because they would be open for anarchy. But if it did exist, then yes, because it would free them from the control of the republic.
Like Sophie said, I think a lack of government would be better because if there's a lack of government, then the right people would take control and change it for the better rather than a corrupt government with an iron fist dictator.
I disagree with all of it. I think that the lack of government would be worse because the community would become unorganized and wouldn't have order. I do agree that the republic government is unfair and strict, but without the government, the society would crash.
How does the government's use of their people as lab rats affect their everyday life?
It causes them to believe whatever the republic tells them because they don't know any better. The republic brainwashes them for their own benefit.
Like Ovid said, the republic causes people to believe that what they want the society to believe. The use of propaganda to brainwash the society, and they shut them off from the outside. Therefore, it benefits the republic.
Well, I don't really agree with Avid and B that the use of them as lab rats causes them to believe things, but I do agree that the Republic does that because I think it is in the Republic's benefit, not the citizens. It affects their citizens' life because every day there are plagues that hurt and kill innocent people and trials that cause kids to fail. Families are torn apart and kids are experimented on and killed.
People are being affected because the government simply wasted a prodigy as in day to test on and throw away. This is just an example. The people that the republic have brainwashed could have changed society in a different manner, but the republic had to do it the hard way.
So, overall, we agree that the republic is not a good government, but depending on the situation, it could be worse. But we all agree that the republic does bad things and that they are the close to worst possible. They're the close to worst possible thing that you can have. But are they the bad guys necessarily? No, because they think that will help ensure their people's future, but truly they have a wide and terrible effect on society. They use them as lab rats and kill them off. They force those into poverty into an even worse situation, and the people would be better off without them or if they failed. So in conclusion, the people of the republic should be abolished as a government because it doesn't help the people and it would be better if they were gone. So thank you for listening to the discussion of the legendary Jays, and I hope you enjoyed it.